tote wasn't even the earliest part. The earliest part was in 1990. We came down twice.
Right.
In January and then in December. And I remember thinking like Australia's amazing because you come and you just stay in one city for a week and play a handful of shows and then you move to the next one and that happened a couple times.
Yeah.
But then after that it's just become like this tour we
fly every day.
We're flying every day.
Right.
A little less time to hang out, but we have less time to hang out.
We have less time to hang out too.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, no, it was really exciting for me to come over, because so much music from here, I love so much, so it was definitely one of the exciting places to get to go.
I don't think we knew about Board until we came down here the first time, but like Celibate Rifles.
The mid-'80s stuff, because like the Celibate Rifle stuff was issued, the Scientist stuff. Scientist was one of the first of that ilk, of the mid-'80s kind of underground stuff, not so much, generic punk and hardcore, but just kind of the weirder stuff, like obviously Birthday Party was, a big
that
one.
was pretty popular all over the world at that time,
The Birthday Party's kind of Birthday Party, and I think the Saints are kind of the gateway.
And Radio Birdman too, probably.
Yeah,
to a lesser extent for us,
because
for whatever reason.
The Saints records were issued on Sire in the States, and I think they kind of flopped.
Wow.
So the first two records were just like everywhere.
The second one in particular was just like in cut out dollar bins everywhere.
And it's like, what's this? I'll give it a shot. It's like, fuck, this is amazing.
Because Sire was like a pretty big label, like
Sire,
and they really tried. They really tried to push the new wave, and the stuff. But
I don't know. I mean, I guess the Saints must have come to the States. But
I don't know if they did. They might have gone to New York and played.
But if they did, it would have been in the '70s, and I would have been too young and nowhere near New York.
But I got really into a lot of the kind of garagey, stuff, Lime Spiders, the Scientists, all that kind of stuff. From Australia, if it came into a shop, I would look at it and go like, this looks pretty cool, I wonder what this is, maybe it's good. But they were expensive too. So you kind of had to pick and choose what you were going to go for. Harem Scarum, like one of the singles.
A couple singles. Feed Time, of course. There were.
Everybody was into AC/DC.
Totally.
Back in Black was, even before that, they had like radio hits and stuff to a certain extent.
Highway to Hell was kind of I thought like the first time that songs were getting actually played on like mainstream radio was like
well I just remember
and then Back in Black of course just
everywhere.
Blew up. It was like crazy.
That was like the Metallica big record or something.
It's the Black Album for both bands.
It's like it was everywhere. I wasn't into it necessarily. I liked it, but it was just freaking everywhere. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was cool, rocking.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw Angel City, which you guys call the Angels a couple times.
Like records, kind of obscure '70s things. Was that Exasperation?
Oh
killer album.
That for the first time. I remember going like, "Fuck, okay." And then like the compilation where
where the Birdmen Flew.
Where Birdmen Flew, was that the album?
There's a compilation.
First compilation of like '70s Australian underground punk stuff.
With Rocks and
Leftovers and Razor.
Cool.
I heard that stuff. And the Victims. But I didn't hear that Victim stuff until Mudhoney was already going. And the first 12-inch reissue came out, and someone sent it to Sub Pop. So Bruce gave that to me.
That started because have you heard of the Experience Music Project, the EMP Museum?
No.
It's Paul Allen, who's like a co-founder of Microsoft.
Oh, right.
Wanted to start up this. Originally, it was going to be a Jimi Hendrix museum in Seattle, and I think someone probably told him it needs to be a little broader than that to like have people keep going.
Right.
So it just kind of became this music museum that's very locally centric, but also has other stuff. So it's kind of like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in a sense. It's got like Pete Townshend's guitar and shit.
But EMP is almost exclusively American stuff.
Oh,
really?
Really?
Mm-hmm. They might have branched out, but for the most part, they really wanted to only focus on American and Pacific Northwest stuff as much as possible. But when they finally got the building built, and they'd been working on it for a number of years, they were going to have like some opening ceremonies, and they wanted the Sonics to play.
All right.
The Sonics were not going to play.
They've got.
All right. Thank you.
Veggies.
Thank you.
Right on, thanks.
they've gotten they've gotten the Kingsmen to play and
oh wow, yeah.
Paul River and the Raiders.
They had the Kingsmen play the groundbreaking thing.
And the Wailers,
Oh,
so
wow.
like a lot of old Northwest bands play. They really wanted to get the Scientists to do
Or
it.
Sonics.
Yeah, Sonics.
Or the Sonics.
Yeah.
But they couldn't. They wouldn't do it, or they hadn't even thought about doing reunion shows yet. So,
So
they talked to Scott McCoy of the Young Fresh Fellows, and
he came up with this idea of putting together a band for.
I think the first person he thought of was Mark for singing. And
Good fit.
then just kind of like slowly. With Mark could possibly come Dan on drums and me either on guitar.
Yeah.
He asked me to do guitar. I said I'll play bass because I knew Tom had to play guitar.
Tom had to play guitar and Bill.
And then Bill was the other obvious one because Girl Trouble is such a Tacoma-centric, Sonics-centric kind of band too. So it's like, you know what, those guys can do that way better than I can. So I still wanted to do something. So I said I would try to play bass.
And got Craig Florian who played
keyboards. And then so we did it for the opening ceremony thing, and since we'd kind of taken some time to like learn the songs proper, like we didn't want to do punk rock covers, like it's kind of like cut the corners and do easier versions of the songs. We wanted to learn them kind of proper. So we learned them proper, and then we thought, well, fuck, we just learned all these songs. We worked pretty hard on it. Why don't we do a couple other shows? And then we decided, why don't we throw this down on tape too, and at least preserve it, and I think Kurt Block and Scott said they'd put it out on CDs, press up a few hundred or whatever, and then so.
I had no idea that
it kind of became a thing, and I think we did a pretty good job in the studio.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great album.
I definitely joke that it's like the least necessary record I've ever been on.
It's
like, well, you could go buy the Sonics.
How that came about? About 95, Steve decided that he didn't really want to tour.
I had to take a break.
Okay.
I was over it.
Right.
And Dan and Matt and I weren't ready to stop doing stuff, so we contacted Kim to see if he would be up for working on some stuff, and he came out, and it kind of just sort of like he went back to Australia and nothing really happened with it. And, someone from Spain who isn't the person who put out the record, who has the guy from Munster, Inigo, he contacted both Kim and I like, hey, I've heard rumors of this thing that you guys did, could I put it out or whatever, and had to, I dusted off a cassette, a friend of mine transferred it into the digital format. So then we played an All Tomorrow's Parties with the Stooges and the Scientists, and handed Kim a CD of it so he could hear what it sounded like, and that's what the record is from. So it went from analog to digital to analog. Mastered off of a cassette. It was cool. That's a very different record than anything we've ever done, because we've never
we spent money.
Use the full budget, But for the third record that we did with Reprise, for some reason, whatever, we've been able to keep the back ends of the recording budgets, whatever we didn't spend in the studio.
Okay. Yep.
So we recorded pretty cheaply, and then for the last record, the deal had changed so that whatever we didn't use, the record company was just going to keep. So we're like, well, this is probably the only chance that we'll ever have to make a major label style record with a producer and.
It was clear it was over. The Warner Brothers thing, that was basically a vote of no confidence on their part. They're just going, okay, tax write-off time,
Right.
But if we chose to spend the money, that's how perverse it is. It's like if we don't spend the money, that they were they didn't want us to not spend the money. They wanted us to spend the money, even though they didn't think the record was going to do anything. So between those two options, either leave the label, or get to spend some money recording, big budget style kind of. So
cool.
That was what the decision was.
And we're just trying to figure out, who, trying to find a producer in the 90s, that would kind of get where we're coming from, and it was that didn't really like the production of big rock albums, major label rock albums. So Our friends Clawhammer had recorded with Jim Dickinson.
Yep. Know them. Yep.
And and they were actually managed by Bob, our manager. That was the only other band that he worked with, and also Dave Katz-Nelson, our A&R guy at Reprise, was very friendly with Jim, and that sort of seemed like a really easy, natural thing, and it was great.
He was easy, you know. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say that he was into our sound necessarily, you know, but he was great, easy to work with, you know. Like he's not afraid of noise, that's for sure, you know, or chaos, you know.
He thrives on it.
Yeah. So just that alone was pretty great. You know, he's not a real hands-on kind of guy. Okay. He's more of a vibe dude. You know, he just kind of sits there and smokes some weed and, you know, tells funny stories. Yeah, he doesn't touch knobs or nothing.
Oh, okay.
He just kind of hangs. Which is like, I want that job.
Yeah.
That's what I realized after that. Like, I want that job. I know nothing about that's why I could only be that kind of producer. Right. But he actually has great ears and knows a lot about music, obviously, you know.
He's been in
the studios for freaking decades. Yeah. He's just not interested in the actual, you know, tuning knobs. He's into like telling an engineer what to do, you know.
Cool.
And he knows the language too, you know.
Oh yeah. I'm not implying that he didn't know what he was doing. It's just like it's a hands-off approach.
Cool. It's in the sound.
Right. Well, it was, you know, obviously Guy came in and he brought like a renewed fervor, you know, kind of excitement to play that, you know, Matt was kind of just over it for a while while he was still in the band. So,
he was over it for like 3 years when he was in the band.
Yeah. So that was obviously a major change, but I think the other one just like kind of within us, and I know for me anyway, like it wasn't our job anymore, and there was no pretense that it was our job anymore. So it was like, you know, why are we doing this? You know, we do it because we like it. You know, they don't matter because it's not our job anymore. So it was really, you know, it's like whatever comes up, you know, was worth of at least exploring whatever ideas were coming up, you know. So
and that first track, "Baby Can You Dig the Light," the real long psychedelic one, that was just sort of a way to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah. It's like if you can't make it through this song, sell the record. You know, like bye. We'll see you some other time. You know. Yeah, it was a little test in a certain way. Like we could have put it at the end of the CD, which probably would have been a better idea.
Which would have probably been the natural part, but
that's good.
It just struck us as
being it was a great song, and like
really perverse, and not just to be something that's like, oh, this is that thing at the end that I skip.
Yeah.
You know?
Sounds good. Yeah.